If you see little flakes of gold on the workbench, don't pay in any means. I've been teaching myself how to gold leaf today. Every day, gotta learn a new skill, right? Well, gentlemen, we're here today to talk about Mr. Mike's Texas Star DX500V. Of course, we all know that V stands for variable. I think everybody knows that at this point. I'm starting to feel like I could do Texas Stars painted purple, hanging naked upside down from a palm tree for my big toes. Okay, let's see, what do we got? Very basic Texas Star, newer build style, 500V with the DEI 2879s, 20 DO9s, which cross to nothing in the known universe. So he wants to do the power wire upgrades, and he wants all the bells and whistles thrown in here. He literally says he doesn't care about the cost, he doesn't care about anything, he just wants to get this done. He says he needs it, end quote. And I simply said, yes sir, I'll get on that. I won't call you till it's done. So we've got the mods done for the 316. They did this stock from the factory. Of course, the power wire and the fuses have got to go. It's got to go. I'm half tempted, even though it doesn't look like there's anything wrong with these transistors that are in here, to go ahead and pull them, just pull them out and replace them with the Toshibas. Or not Toshibas, but the newer, better HG components. I think before we go any further, though, we should all, in fairness, just hook this thing up and run it. So in all due fairness, I used wire nuts. Do not do this. Do not get the idea in your head, just simply because BBI showed that he used it once on camera, that means it's a permanent acceptable practice for connecting your equipment to anything. It is not. It might work okay in your home, 120 volt electrician solid core wire that never moves, never gets bumped, not vibration prone. It doesn't have little children and nieces and nephews, cousins, nephews, and you know, even Ma bringing home the groceries from the grocery store bumping into it 24/7. It might be okay. For this application for a test, it's fine. We get enough surface contact and pressure and twisties and tight hand jobs, like, you know, she really exercised her pelvic floor a bunch, and that's the reason that she's holding on to it and pubes are getting ripped out, you know, if you know what I'm saying. Okay. This might work well enough here for a test, but do not ever do this in your vehicle. Don't. You're insulting yourself, the electrical trade, mankind, Zeus, and God himself. It's just, don't. I'm just doing it for a test. I would never permanently suggest. Never would I ever, here, repeat it with, I will never use twist locks in my 12 volt DC install in my vehicle. It's okay for short-term emergency use, but do not make it a permanent thing. If you do, we'll make fun of you when you get to heaven because your car burned under you. We'll all point and laugh. Oh dude, we knew you, but you killed yourself because of, yeah. On with it. Power switch, preamp, dial-a-watt, and delay. Preamp does not do, wait a minute, up. I got the striker hooked up. Black coax, hold on. Woo. Okay, power on. All right, preamp works. So now, let's get ourselves a little bit of a baseline. We are on 12 volts here. 1, 2, 1, 2. About 6 bird in it. And about 20 watts peak. And the survey says, oh, you need a new knob on the front too. Whew. Oh, it's making power. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Those transistors are heating up. Those transistors are heating up. Combiner not getting hot. Hello, 111111111. Put SWR is not all that bad. Hello, 11111. Hello, 12. Okay. So it's working. Subconsciously, I knew I wanted to be on my derail striker. I just knew it. I knew it. Down deep in the cockles, the nether regions of my heart. Right down next to my testicles. I knew. I just knew. I just knew. Okay, so now we're going to put the derail striker, which is on 12 volts. We're going to put about 80 watts into it, which is a little bit hot. This thing isn't really designed to take more than about 65, but let's see if parts start coming apart. I doubt they will. Amp on, variable open. Hello, audio. Oh, 450 watts. Hello. An input SWR of 1.9. So we're going to use our ocular vision. That's where you take your right eye and look at this and the left eye and look at that. Everybody capable of doing that? I don't know. I'm not. I even got hit in the head one time sideways when I was a kid, and I was seeing cross-eyed for about a week. I still couldn't do it today if I tried. Hello. So 80 going in and 3.5 watts coming back. And this thing shows me a 2. Hello. This bridge right here. Please note, earlier this last week, I was building those beautiful 4-pill amplifiers, and I spent 45 minutes trying to figure out how I can have 0 reflect here, but according to this meter, I had a 3 SWR. That's how I feel about that meter. Really. Kiss my ass. But we got it figured out. It wanted more inductor for some reason. Even though this needle wasn't moving at all underneath full modulation input, it is what it is. Okay, so it is working in theory. I guess our entire mission here, our goal, our purpose in life, our meaning for existence is to make it work better. So we'll go ahead, we'll upgrade his preamp transistor, we'll do a power wire upgrade on it, and we're going to do a transistor swap since nobody knows what the DEI 20 D09 swap to. I mean, if somebody out there in YouTube land wants to pay me to take an amp like this and then put a matched pair of HG 2879 16 D08s, which is our relative, and I use the term relative very lightly, baseline for components, and see if I can get 2 of those and 2 of these to work, and then flip-flop the DEI 20 D09s and put a 16 D08 with it in a 2-pill and watch it operate, I will. I'm not going to do that on my time. I can't. Look, you guys, I got a lot of responsibilities on me these days. It ain't like in the beginning when I had 2 or 3 days a week to screw around with stuff. I got to get going with it, right? I'm not going to even talk about all the stuff going on in the background that you guys don't even know about yet. But you will know here before the end of the year. There's going to be some fun stuff going on. But I'd like to run that test. No time. Out of time. I see that they've changed this capacitor here. Please be 103s. What are you? 103s. Cool. We might be able to do the high power mods to this thing. We'll see. Okay. Power wire and preamp first, and then we'll come back, we'll do transistors. So we're back. I'm going to return these 4 transistors with the amp because there's technically nothing wrong with them, but they don't cross to anything. So I'm working on that though. I reached out to the manufacturer and said, hey, what are the odds of you creating kind of like a cross reference? So I'll come back to that once I got a little bit more information. So as we know, preamp needed to be changed around a little bit. We did that. Everything else, we did the power wire upgrade, changed out some transistors, did a couple little other things on the board, and now we've got ourselves an 900 watt amp. So this is not the proper way to drive this amplifier. Let me show you. We're going to use the derail striker 955. Just turn the 5 watt slug around so it reads forward. Let's get our dead key down here about a watt. So our baseline dead key is a watt, and then now we're going to look over here. This is a 1000 watt slug and peak, 1000 in average. Hello, audio, 1, 2. We're going to give it the full derail striker punishment. Now this gentleman here has got a Connex that does about 60, 70 watts. I told him this thing is going to do 600, 700 watts reliably forever. So we'll turn the amp on. Hello, 1, 1. 900 watts, right? Hello, 1, 1. 850 or whatever. Close enough. Let's go over here. Let's check our pass-through tune. Otherwise, the amp's ability to have RF pass through it and go to the dummy load. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Striker likes that. Let's bring the amp into play. Dead key reflect. Nothing. Hello, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Like I said, we're just a hair overdriving this thing. Hello, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Just a hair overdriving this thing. But the amplifier is capable of that. Now, what you never, ever, 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 ever want to do is push the dial-a-watt button in and use the dial-a-watt, because it brings this little tiny resistor here. It adds this resistor to the circuit, and then it adds this resistor to the circuit. This one, if you push that dial-a-watt button in at all and use your Connex, within the first key, maybe second key, this thing will start smoking. You get about 10 more keys out of it, and then this resistor will burn up and it'll devaluate itself. Then this one will burn up. So with your setup, Mr. M, it's power on and preamp. That's it. Leave this knob always turned all the way to the right. Okay. Isn't it pretty? They're so pretty when they got big power wire and they're really ready to rock and roll. So let's utilize our striker now. Hello. Hello. Okay. Hello. Let's pull this 1000 out, put in 100. And he told me his radio does about 60 watts. We'll take the striker, we'll turn it down. Hello. Audio. That variable bird, variable peak on the derail radio comes in handy in this situation. And I mean that as on the workbench to set up the radio. I would, listen, I have a thing, it's called make it idiot free, right? KISS, keep it simple, stupid kind of thing. When you add a variable dial-a-watt to a radio like this, variable peak, you might have the thing set up just perfect for what you want to do with it, and then the grandbabies come along, or the niece, nephew, cousin, or wife accidentally bumps it with her purse, or maybe the wife actually talks on the radio. That's a rare thing, by the way. And she bumps that knob, and everything goes to hell in a handbasket. That's why I say it's neat to have the radio with all the knobs on it. Mine are down this side. I've did a whole YouTube video on this radio, by the way. It's neat to have those knobs on there, but you gotta be careful how you use them. Okay, so what is this thing gonna do with 60 watts of drive? Now, we did not turn down the mic gain, we turned down the variable peak power. Hello, 800 watts. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, hello, 1, 2, audio. 1, 2, audio. It's a beautiful thing. Let's hit our sideband delay button. Hit 1, 2, 1, 2. Now we'll put the amp on sideband. Go to lower side first. Hit 1, 2, 1, 2. Hold on. Hit 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Sideband's working flawlessly, by the way. Hit 1, 2, 1, 2. See that 70-ish amps worth of consumption? That's why we go with a bigger Anderson clip like this. We don't go with a little tiny 50 amp one. It will cause problems if you do. It'll cause the amplifier to starve. Is it necessary to have this big a power wire going into this little 500? No, it's not. I do this to help people remember that just because it's coming out of the amp, you've got like, 12 gauge coming out of the amp, you might want to think about feeding that with 8. Or, maybe you got 8 gauge coming out of the amp, you might want to think about feeding it with 4. Because there's so much line loss between the battery and the amplifier. So you want the maximum performance out of your amp, get it the most amperage that it can possibly drink. And it helps keep the voltage up. It's kind of an Ohm's law kind of thing. Okay, so the only thing I got left to do before I can put my sticker on this and send this out to Mr. M is, after talking with him today on the phone, he wants me to put a grommet in the keyhole here in the back, and he wants me to add a fan to it, a single 120 millimeter fan on the bottom of it going, which now makes the lid, the top of the lid, the bottom of the amp, which is perfect because then the heatsink is facing up, and we can get the most airflow through the fins. Okay. I sure hope my friend Frank Beard out there at Beard Amplifiers gets himself in the position where he's got fan kits that are built like the stock fan kits. He's got the coolest fan kit in the game right now. By far, hands down, bar none, it's the coolest thing going right now in the market for 667s, 500s, 400s, 350s, 250s, and so on. And he's currently working on Texas Star 1200s and 3200s and 1600s. I don't have, one, any of his extra fan kits here, and two, I really like the stock fan kit. It's got some merits to it. It's made of a little bit thinner metal, but I hope that he can copy that and emulate that all for all of us. He's currently working on new amplifier lids, stock lids, not his thicker metal aftermarket ones that he makes, but actually bone stock to the T matching lids. I seen on Facebook just the other day, we got a guy out there that has figured out how to 3D print in colors the push button labels for us, and is now currently working on how to silk screen the letters, which I think is, if we can get these, get a source for this, and get new lids, and maybe get a guy that'll do some metal vinyl on the front for faceplate rebuilds, man, we're off to the races and cooking for being able to support these, because, well, I don't know if they've actually gone out of business yet. I know they've been talking about it for a long, long time. Whatever. Texas Star, it's time for us to start taking on our own self-support. The other thing I did is I upgraded the ground wire that goes from board A to board B, even though this is one of the latest generation boards where the board doesn't have the grounds isolated through little disc capacitors like this here, and so on. On the older style boards, this Allen screw would be isolated behind a little disc capacitor. Then in the next generation that came out, the disc capacitor had been eliminated now, and they had a little trace that was cut like it was a fusible link for some reason. And then in the latest version boards, it's like this, where it's just, hello, how you doing? Today's your Sunday. Like, look over here, see this? See, that's a solid trace. Okay. Needless to say, I need to put a fan kit on this thing, and then I can put this in a flat rate box, and I can move on with my life. We'll move on to the next thing, which I think is an 8 pill and a 48 pill. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the book says. The book dictates my life. Okay. On that note, here we are. Let's put a fan on it and get the lid on it, get a sticker on it, and get it on its way. Well, gentlemen, we're done. Put a little bit of sex wax on the case to clean it up a little bit, but Mr. M, you're all set. Anderson clip. Now when you get your package, bud, don't forget, I'm going to send you back the 4 transistors that came out of this thing. But it's got every bell and whistle and possible thing done to it. I mean, it is a Texas Star DX500 that does 900 watts with Stryker radio drive. So, brother, I appreciate you. Thank you for your patience. I will be calling you for some information on how to tune diesels here in the future. Have faith. We will talk again. So, Mr. M, I appreciate you. Gentlemen, I want us to take a minute, and I want us to give thanks to the Patreon supporters down here. They're the reason that we got to watch this whole video. You, me, and everybody else in YouTube Gargler land. Didn't have to sit through the 35 to 1 minute long ads now that they have because of the support of the Patreon supporters. If you guys like the content, please think about coming and joining Patreon. It costs $1. On that note, that's my number. Got any questions? Anything I can do to help answer your questions or anything I can do to help you personally, don't hesitate to give me a call or shoot me a text. Big shout out to Penna. Don't forget, our boys here at Penna Labs will give you a 5% discount if you mention BBI on the time of checkout. Shout out to XS, Siglent, Bird, Coaxial Dynamics. And at the end of the day, I don't get to be here unless all you guys out here in YouTube land decide that you're going to click watch. So I say thank you to every single one of you guys. Now, on that note, I'm going to say, gentlemen, I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho, and I don't think that's going to change in the foreseeable future for any reason. But it is what it is. If I have to, I'll just build a bigger amplifier, because I can. I say thank you. I'm off to go do other things. I think the next thing that comes out is going to be an 8 drive-in 48. We'll see. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Gentlemen, I'll see you. Click, click.